So one of the things, because again, I'm very psychoeducation, come from education. I taught this in high school was life, and what I'm seeing with a lot of my parents is just, again, it's the lack of knowing what to do. And I'm going to give you, for instance, some of our kids, again, have been in crisis. And we say mental health. I tell my kids, y'all are lucky. This is the first generation that's ever had mental health in a conversation. Mm-hmm. But when you've had a kid that's been Baker active, when you've had a kid that cuts, our parents didn't go through that. They don't, what is that? How do you do it? Especially if you have any type of older generation parent, it's like, what do you even mean? And what, just get it together. And they literally, for whatever reason, and there's a lot of times that with my parents, I am literally the one that says, hey, your child's not in crisis anymore. You got to stop treating them like they are, because that's what I hear. But what if? And I said, but you got me on board now. I will let you know what if. And that's what I'm saying is that you can even see, because, we're all parents, and, as a single parent, there's always that kind of, oh my gosh, is he, am I, and I said, but that's when you say, listen, I've built a foundation. I'm giving you everything I've got. You have to instill and believe in your children, because I know they're part me. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And if they're upset, good. They have to be, because that's when you figure it out.
Yeah, mm-hmm. That discomfort is what's helping them grow.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the only time you grow.
Yep. It's during this.
That's when you're uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So, but
so again, how do we change it? And that's the thing, is how do we change this type of mentality, I guess, that we've created? I think it does it's generational, because like you said, our generation of parents were like, bye, see ya, figure it out. I don't know.
You're 18.
Exactly. And that's how
we were 8.
I mean, I moved out on my own at 17. I mean, and so I know a lot of us were like that in our so then we kind of overcompensate.
Yeah. I'm just thinking too, as you're saying, I remember graduation night, I was, I had my own place. I was ready. I was ready to be an adult. Me too. But now it's like, these kids are like, where do we go?
Yeah.
Like you're 17, you're 18 or 18. Figure it out. It's like, what do we do? And that's a good question. How do we stop it?
One thing that I
speak to it.
One thing that I do with parents who, let's say, have these older 16 and up teenagers, and they're kind of going through it of, let's say their teen is either trying to spread their wings and fly, and their parents is pulling them back in. So that's when you have to, I always tell my parents, okay, check yourself. Why are you doing this? What is your purpose? Mm-hmm. So checking yourself is what is your purpose right now for them? What do you want for your child? So really take a look. Is it fear-based? A lot of it comes from fear. So I fear that my child won't be able to do X, Y, and Z. Or I fear that my child will make a big mistake and ruin their life. So all of that is fear-based. Mm-hmm. So we have to check ourselves as are you giving them the confidence? Are you saying, you know what, you got this, and if you make a mistake, it's okay. You're going to bounce back. You're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And allowing them to make those mistakes. But a lot of parents think that I'm going to prevent them from making mistakes, which is better for them, but it's not.
Well, then I always go, and guess what? It's not about you.
It's not about you.
I'm afraid little Johnny's not going to, hang out with so-and-so, and so-and-so's son is doing this, and so-and-so's daughter doing that. It's the worst thing you can ever do to your child is compare that child to somebody else.
That's true.
Do not, even if it's a sibling, do not do it. And I'm going to tell you right now, we know I'm so different. Mm-hmm. From my siblings and everybody else.
I'm going to say all of us.
And that's the thing. That is what I grew up with. And we know that is my story, and that's what I work well. Like I said, give me an underdog, give me our little neurospices, because we are able to explain that. But especially if you have a child that is neurodivergent, and our capacity and our problem solving, our lack of fear, and parents are going, whoa, wait, how come, whoa, slow down. What? Parameters, keep you safe. But the worst thing you can do is put that child in a box.
And that's true. And I think, too, to try to speak to it, how do you stop it? I think it's going to start with, again, reassuring our kids, that they have the confidence, instilling that, sometimes you just got to start over, and have the conversation and, let them know that we believe in them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. My kids, the younger one, he's ready to go and spread his wings. And it's I'm no, come back. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, what I have to say to myself is, I've already put in him what he needs for success. Now he has to go out and manifest that success for himself. And I have to be okay with that.
And you have to believe that you did the best damn job that you could have done, and you taught him. And then guess what? If he makes those mistakes and he makes bad choices in his life, it's and this is hard because I get it. Like saying, "Oh my God, if they screw up, that's a reflection of me. I must have done something wrong." Then we blame ourselves. We must have done something wrong. But if you could really say to yourself, like, I put my heart into these kids, and I'm doing the best that I can. I made some mistakes along the way, but at the end of the day, they know that I did my best and that I tried to make them just a good human being.
And we have to be okay with
have to be okay with it.
That's it.
Well, and again, flip side of that, because, we're talking about how do we change it. One, again, you have to educate because you cannot change what you don't understand. And when I tell my students, I said, here's the thing. When if we were going to get a job, we had to literally go to the job. We had to fill out an application. We had to go talk to people. We're selling Girl Scout cookies. We went and
door to door.
So we were comfortable with people. Everything is third person now. Everything is behind everything. And so it's like, and even, we work with people. And I told them just yesterday, we're doing psychosocial development. And I said, here's the thing. Anybody that works in any type of, career that is human based, nurses, doctors, firefighters, whatever, healthcare, education, you got to understand people.
Yeah, you do.
And even with that, we're seeing in some of our careers where some of our professionals are not really getting that either.
Have people skills.
Yep, absolutely.
You do.
Absolutely. So, and I think too, another thing that I know I'm seeing a pattern is the ones that are trying to step out into the world and they don't know what direction to go, and saying to them that's okay, instead of a parent saying, well, do this, try this, you need to go this way, you need to do this, and they're just like, oh, I don't even know what to do, because in the back of their head, their whole life you've done everything for them. So how do you expect them to be 17, 18 and say, I know what I want to be when I grow up, I know what career I'm going to want, I know I'm going to do this? Like, no, because you have been doing that for them their whole life, instead of fostering. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to foster their curiosity.
Yes.
Foster them and saying, oh, you like that? You know what? Have you thought about looking into that a little bit more and seeing what path is really they're good at? And, praising them when you see them do things that are completely out of character. Okay, no parent wants their kid to be an artist, right? Because that doesn't make money and they're so hyper focused on that. You're a really good artist. Well, and then the kid goes, well, that's not going to make me money. We said that. Well, what else can you do with art? Why don't you brainstorm? I'll help you brainstorm. There's so many things you could teach. You could do other things that are have to do with art. And so that's another thing that I'm seeing as a lot of these very successful parents, doctors, attorneys that have gone to school, they grinded it out, and they're wanting their kids to do the same and follow in their footsteps. Mm-hmm. So I get that too. And it's one of those things where not every kid is made for school. Not every kid wants to do that. They have other desires. And you gotta let them go that way.
You gotta let them find themselves.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And also there's, something I've always said, there's rescuing and then there's helping. Mm. And that's the thing. It's and again, I tell my parents, I said, here's the thing. We all have to be rescued at some point in time. At some point in time, we are drowning in the ocean. We need to be rescued. Great. You're doing 90% of the work. You're getting them in. But if they keep going in the ocean,
going back
in the ocean, that they know how to swim,
yeah,
but you're feeling uncomfortable. Mm. So you keep rescuing. You can't be mad because they keep throwing themselves in the ocean. I said, because here's the thing. Help is 50%. I literally used to tell my students all the time, here's your toilet paper. Wipe your own behind.
Yep.
I literally
I'm
can't.
giving you the tools. Right. Now it's time to go out and do what you need to do.
And it's, again, if you smell, you whatever. And nobody wants, well, have you wiped your eyes? And they all laugh at me. I'm like, I don't know how else to make it as funny as that. And again, what do we always say? You can't do more work than them.
Right.
And when they're upset,
so
good. Right. Yep. But that's when you say,
and then I see sometimes where parents, they think that their kids should already have it all figured out. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they don't. They learn it along the way.
Right.
They don't always have to have it all figured out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.